Well, the ANC's KwaZulu-Natal conference will get underway in Durban today with Sihle Zikalala expected to face strong challenge for the position of provincial party chairperson. Some political analysts have warned that KwaZulu-Natal could go to the ANC's national conference later this year deeply divided. Zikalala was elected unopposed previously, but it is believed that at least 6 other ANC members have their eye on the top position at the provincial elective conference. For more on this, let's now cross to our reporters Samkele, Maseko and Simphiwe Makhanya in Durban. A very good morning to you two gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us at this point?
A very good morning to you, Simphiwe. Yes, it is the morning of the ANC's provincial conference in KwaZulu-Natal, where it's in essence the Talibans versus the Ankoles. The Talibans are led by Siboniso Duma as the provincial chairperson and Begim Tolo as the provincial secretary. On the Ankole side, you've got Sihle Zikalala as the provincial chairperson and Mtumseni Ntuli as the provincial secretary. This conference has 1,600 delegates to this conference. For anyone to contest for any position to be nominated from the floor, they have to get at least 25% of the total number of delegates voting at this Congress or this conference of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, and that is about 420 votes from the floor. But I'm not alone. I am with my colleague Simphiwe Makhanya. Mr. Makhanya, provincial conference of KwaZulu-Natal, the stakes are high.
The moment of truth has arrived indeed, Samkele, and I think to say this is going to be a crucial conference for the ANC is an understatement. Looking at the number of the contestants, those who are putting their hands up for the crucial position of chairperson, 6 names that have been bandied about in the media, and that tells you really the amount of campaigning that has gone into this, and also the amount of one would say divisions within the African National Congress in this province of KwaZulu-Natal.
When you look at, for instance, as we converse with my colleague Simphiwe Makhanya, at this point in time, there are only 2 people who've made it on the ballot paper through branch nominations for the position of provincial chair. It is the current chairperson, Sihle Zikalala, and also the contender, Umposelinsalela, that would be Siboniso Mkabateli Duma, who hails from the lower South Coast region. The provincial secretary position, Mtumseni Ntuli, versus the mayor of Kokstad PEC member, Begim Tolo. You've got the deputy provincial chairpersonship position, Kwazim Shengu, versus Dr. Ntutuko Mahlaba. But I saw eThekwini region last night in the RGC endorsing the name of former spokesperson and MEC of Health. That would be Nomakuku as well.
It's not only that, Sam. In fact, what was also interesting to note is the name of the former eThekwini mayor, that's Zandile Gumede, being put forward as the candidate. Of course, we know the problem that she's currently facing, being on step aside, going through this court case that she's currently going through, and we know the regulations of the NEC that were amended to deal precisely with the people who are charged with wrongdoing, to say that they are not eligible to actually be voted into any senior position within the party. But it seems as if the eThekwini region in particular is saying, despite all of that, we still believe that she is going to be our treasurer in the province.
Interestingly, in the RGC in the early hours of this morning, they had to vote. It had to go down to a vote because the 2 warring factions, because ultimately the province now, it is a battle of 2 factions. It is the Talibans versus the Ankoles. The RGC of eThekwini, on the position of provincial treasurer, they said eThekwini region. They never put a name, because the ANC's NEC regulations stipulates that anyone who's charged cannot contest for any leadership positions in the party. They simply couldn't agree on a name as eThekwini region. They've got the deputy chairperson of the region, Timbo Ntuli, the brother of Mtumseni Ntuli, saying, I can't divorce my brother. I have to support my brother.
We will have to wait and see, Sam, how this is going to unfold. In fact, when we spoke to the provincial secretary, the outgoing provincial secretary of the ANC, that's Mtumseni Ntuli, yesterday, he said he's expecting delegates to start arriving here where we are at 7 o'clock, and we are here. Not a single person has been spotted, entering these premises. In fact, members of the media have also been told to stay outside because we are going to be, waiting for security to come in first and clear the venue before any other, processes unfold. But it's going to be interesting, Sam, when we spoke again to the provincial secretary, Mtumseni Ntuli, who was telling members of the media that he's not anticipating any delays in this conference. But of course, we know that in the previous conferences, like I'm talking about the Eastern Cape in particular, where there were, quite lengthy delays before the adoption of credentials was even, put on the table. Here, we don't anticipate any delays, but of course, the issues facing the province of KwaZulu-Natal, issues of disunity.
The issue of credentials is an Achilles heel facing the liberation movement and now the governing party within South Africa, particularly when you look at the statement of the ANC president at the Congress of the South African Communist Party, where he said that it's very easy for the SACP to adopt credentials. It was a matter of 10-15 minutes. But the ANC nowadays is faced where they debate credentials for 2 days of a weekend-long conference. It happened in Gauteng. It was seamless in the province of Limpopo.
Yeah.
Eastern Cape was a drag. It was seamless in the province of Mpumalanga. So it tells you of a highly divided organization in certain provinces, and in other provinces they are largely united. But Makhanya, let's just look at the issue of the names that have been branded about for these positions of this Ankole and this Taliban slate. Let's start with the Talibans. Just break it down for us. Who are these people? Where do their history locates them in the broader politics of the mass democratic movement?
It's very interesting that you should ask that question, Samkele, because I was just going through the list. If you look at Siboniso Duma, for instance, not a lot has been, said about him in terms of him being a leader, of course. But of course, we know that he is a member of the provincial legislature and the chairperson of committees in the provincial legislature. And of course, you look at the other contenders in this particular, in his particular slate, you get a sense that really, the ANC in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, is facing a very, critical moment, if one may put it that way. Because when you spoke to the provincial secretary, Mdumiseni Ntuli, he said that if branches of the ANC approach him to say, we want you to be a leader, he will first have to engage them to say, who else do you think that would work together, that I would work together with in actually achieving, the goal of uniting the ANC and also growing the party in the province. Talking about the issue of growing the party in the province, they lost about 18 municipalities in this previous, local government elections. But of course, Mdumiseni Ntuli yesterday said to us that we shouldn't judge them based on that, because he feels that the party is in a much better place than it was when they took over in 2018.
That is Samkele Maseko and Simphiwe Makhanya bringing you the latest from this 9th Provincial Conference of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. On a historical context, as I wrap, this 9th Provincial Conference of the ANC mirrors that of the ANC Youth League Conference Congress at the Howard University campus, UKZN, 2011. It was Siboniso Duma for the provincial secretary position. It was Bheki Mtolo, deputy provincial secretary. Chairperson was Mthandeni Dlungwane. On the other contending slate, which lost, it was Mdumiseni Ntuli contesting as provincial chair. It was Nomagugu Simelane Zulu contesting as deputy provincial chairperson. And it was the late Wandile Mkhize contesting as provincial secretary. That tells you of how these younger leaders within the ANC have moved in the broader Congress movement and in the mother body for them to once again be contesting one another years on in the main mother body, the ANC, for the leadership of KwaZulu-Natal. This time around, Nomagugu Simelane Zulu has left the camp of Mdumiseni Ntuli and has been said to have joined the Talibans as per the nomination of the Regional General Council of eThekwini region in the early hours of this morning as deputy chair, contesting one of her closest mates, the MEC of Education, PwC member, and also that's the name of Kwazim Shengu, who controls the Moses Mabhida region, which is one of the biggest regions in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So it is in essence a mirror of the 2011 ANC Youth League Congress at the Howard College campus. This time around, they are battling it out for the control of the ANC, with Nomagugu Simelane Zulu dumping the Mdumiseni Ntuli camp and being courted by the Talibans.